Welcome to True North, where you can begin your journey of health, discovery, and metamorphosis. This space will hold you while you expand and contract in the ever-evolving process of our human nature. The space here is designed to allow you to let go by feeling safe to be exactly who you are. Every detail is thought about for your relaxation, decompression, and overall wellness of being. You can open the mind, learn about yourself, and at the same time just let the world go while you float away in the void. As the artwork is on the walls for you to enjoy, and there's beautiful tea and waters for you to consume. Allow the soul to take a breath while you relax and enjoy a refreshing drink of water in the Zen room. Time will begin to stop as the moment is all there is before you. When your presence is focused on here and now, and all the parts of you that have been worried and in the future and in the past are now recollected here into your essence, into your being. You bring them back and sit with them and just be with them. Maybe pull an oracle card with them and open the conversation with the divine, with the universal cosmic energy force that is around us and within us, within you. God, okay, I am so excited to talk about today's topic because it is something I am deeply passionate about, and if there was anything in the world that I feel like could save humanity, and I'm making a really broad statement right now, but it would be floating. And I'll give you a few reasons why. Just keep watching the video. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Anna, and in today's video, we're gonna talk about all things flotation therapy. Floating has been a tool for me, an amazing tool, for about 3 years now. I have floated over 100 times because I love it that much, and I can't wait to dive into all about it. What is float therapy? Floating was founded by a scientist and psychiatrist by the name of John C. Lilly back in the 50s, I believe. John C. Lilly wanted to understand what would happen to our consciousness if all stimulation were turned down, or at least the outside stimulation of light, sound, temperature were all eliminated or neutralized to the best of his ability, and you were left in a void space of darkness, quietness, and water that was just your body temperature, so that your inner world could light up, could be heard. In today's society, there are so many sounds and distractions and constant bombardment of advertisements and people wanting your attention, wanting your focus, because your focus is your consciousness, is your life force going into whatever it is that you're paying attention to. It's that time and energy of your life. So with floating, it's created an environment where you have restricted environmental stimulation therapy, or REST, and you can achieve deep inner states of rest and healing, and also expanded states of consciousness. One of the interesting things found on studies around floating is that your brain is able to go into deeper relaxed brain waves, like the theta wave state. And that's usually found when you're in REM sleep or you're deeply relaxed in sleep. Another state you could find it in is in the imagination of a child. And so when you're in this theta state in the float tank, you can pretty much imagine yourself to be anywhere. You feel like you're in outer space, like an astronaut in the void. And in this void space, this black blank canvas, anything is possible. It's limitless. Your imagination can run wild, and it's a great tool for getting clear on what you want to manifest in your life, what's going on with your inner dialogue. There's a lot that happens in our minds every day, and because it's like a computer, if we don't give it a reset every once in a while, it can become overloaded and crowded, and it's hard to turn off that monkey mind. That's all we'll end up hearing, because our programming ends up running us and controlling us. Well, when you're in the float tank and all the distractions slip away and that focus on the inner space turns up, you're able to become the observer and to observe your thoughts, kind of take a deeper look into the patterning around what your thoughts are saying. Have they been negative? Have they been really detrimental to yourself? Have you been putting so much pressure on yourself? You know, what's going on? What's the inner dialogue? Because that will point to where your subconscious is at and what you've been functioning from. If you've been in survival, if you've had a limiting belief just running your life because you haven't become aware of it, it's never had a chance to come up into the conscious space. So floating is freaking fascinating, and I want to share a little bit about my first float experience and the mural that's behind me. So my brother floated before me. He actually introduced me to floating about 4 years ago. When he was living in Las Vegas, he really fell in love with the practice. He started having all of these transformations, both inwardly and outwardly, and I could notice that. I started to notice them. One of them was he was losing weight, he was getting healthier, he had a lighter essence about him. He felt less weighed down by things and more present with me when we had conversations. I could feel he had opened up his heart more, and he was expressing his love for me more. And I knew he loved me, but we didn't usually like share or talk about those things. It felt kind of vulnerable, I guess. And I felt more and more of my brother as I remembered him as a little kid coming through. And I was very curious as to what was causing this transformation. So he invited me one day to come out to Vegas and to try floating for the first time. I, of course, was like a little nervous because it's unknown. It's something I've never done. And if it could really alter my brother this much, like, what was it going to do to me? But more than anything, I was excited, and I could see all the positive things coming from it. So I said yes. And not everybody's first time is on an edible, and not their first edible either. So it was my first time, and he gave me an edible and said, "Here you go, little sis. We'll see you on the other side." Side note, I just want to say I'm very thankful and grateful to my brother for setting me up in a way that I felt I could truly trust the experience, because to be on an edible really amplified the sensoriness of the whole thing. And you would think that maybe with the restricted stimulation there would be less sensory input going on, but no. So I get in to my float, and the first 30 minutes, I haven't felt the edible yet. My mind is just really loud, like somebody had dialed up the radio and the volume, and I could hear the voices of my parents, my community, the religion I grew up in, the church leaders, my own inner dialogue. And they were getting louder and more ferocious until, I couldn't handle it anymore. And at some point I just screamed mentally, and I went, "Stop!" Just like that. And it went absolutely silent. I feel like I had metaphorically shattered a glass ceiling in my mind, one that needed to be broken through, because I was able to really tune in. My mind wanted to process everything that had just been coming through, and finally it did. I hadn't felt this kind of silence and stillness in my own mind in a long time. So I took a deep breath and started to cry. I felt my mind reflecting on some of the teachings of Jesus. One of them being, "Be still and know that I am God," just kept coming into my mind. And I began to understand at a deeper level what I think that meant for me, which is when you are completely still from the whole world, you just pause everything and you go inward. You can't escape your own source. Your source is God, and God is the I am. I am, I am. And I laughed. I cried and I laughed, and I was like, why have I hated myself? Why have I had all of these sad stories and narratives in my mind, just being victim to what was going on? And a lot of it was the programming that I grew up with. And but when you realize that you are from your source, from the source of all that is, and I like to call it God, the universe, whatever you like to call it is up to you. And you reconnect and tap into that, you can see through the illusion and the lies of the program and the narratives that you might have been telling yourself your whole life. Like, things are happening to you, when really everything is happening for your betterment, for your experience, and at some level you're choosing it. So you're kind of at the center of your reality, creating as though you were God, creating your own reality and world. And I feel like I could label that a spiritual awakening moment. kind of hard to share this on the internet because I feel like people might not get it, might want to judge it, but this channel is really about being your authentic self and sharing your truth, and that is my truth. I just had what I felt like my spirit come back into my body, truly become present again. And when I got out of my float experience, it felt like I had been spiritually baptized, which was interesting because I was spiritually baptized back when I was 8 years old into the church that I grew up in. And I kind of reflect on that moment now as when my spirit maybe took a back seat and disconnected, because in my religion, when I got baptized at 8 years old, I remember thinking, oh, so now I have to be absolutely perfect or God won't love me. I can't sin, I can't make mistakes. I need Jesus to know that I will do everything I can to be perfect, and that means listening to my parents and being obedient and following the church authorities and marrying who they tell me and stepping into line in society. Floating broke through all of that because I had space from those people and that place and that environment to realize that I already was perfect. I already was how God created me. And mistakes are meant to learn. Mistakes are for your growth. So what a relief. My spirit just like sighed. It was sorry if I get a little emotional because, yeah, reflecting on it, it was a big transforming moment for me in my life. So my brother called me up one day on the other side of the world and said, hey sis, I had a dream about you, and in this dream you were on the edge of a cliff and it felt like you were in danger and you needed help and you were calling out. So here I am calling you. What's going on? Tell me what's up in life. And I thought about it for a moment and I said, that's interesting. The only thing that I can think of that's been really stressing me out is that I'm gonna have to drop out of art school because I can't afford it. And 3 months in, I was contemplating dropping out because it was financially distressing me. And he listened and he said, well, I feel like this dream was telling me to help you. So what do you think of this? What if I paid for all of your tuition and your supplies in trade for a mural that one day I might need from you? And you'll need to have the experience and the knowledge on how to do it. At the time, he hadn't even thought about True North, and he hadn't thought about, building this place. It was just kind of a way to help me out. And I said, absolutely, absolutely, brother. And it's gonna make me a little emotional again. Fast forward a year or two, here we are, and I painted my first mural for him about the very first time I floated. So I just want to shout out to my bro. Love ya. Thank you for listening to your dreams and your inner guidance. And that's another big reason that this place is so special to me, because True North is your inner compass. It is your inner guidance. It's your authentic, true self speaking. It's your intuition saying, hey, pick up the phone and call your sister. Or, hey, it's time to sign up for art school, even though you don't know if you'll be able to afford it. And it's like, hey, get into your first float. even though it feels a little unknown. True North is that inner guidance system, is that pointing you to your true North Star, and it will never lead you astray. But you have to tune in. You have to get quiet. You have to allow your heart and your mind to become in sync, and for your body to heal the trauma and process the limiting beliefs and the past programming, and really get back into the driver's seat of your own consciousness. So what would it be like if every individual was sitting in this seat of sovereign consciousness, where they were tapped in, turned on, and really truly guided by their own inner true north? How would the world look? What could we build together? How could the earth become even more connected? What would the collective consciousness turn into? How could we regenerate the destruction that's been happening because there has been a disconnect from our spiritual essence? There has been a misguidance of our inner system, and distraction pulling us here and there, and masks going on, and layers to keep us from really truly looking at ourselves, hearing ourselves, and deeply trusting ourselves. I could literally talk about floating forever, but I want to show you guys a float tank, and I'm also going to be doing a fire and ice session, and I want to show you guys that. So let's go. Welcome into the Infinity Room. I hope I don't have a little bit of an echo in here, but it is kind of echoey. A little bit of the logistics of what a float tank is. This one is considered a float cabin because you can stand all the way up in it. It has no door on it for those that might be claustrophobic, and it is also 6 feet by 8 feet. That is big enough to hold not one, but 2 people if you ever want to float with somebody. The water is about 1.5 feet deep, and it is filled with 1,700 pounds of Epsom salts, or magnesium sulfate. The only time that they really have to drain the tanks is to deep clean them or to change the water. And you don't really have to change the water because it gets filtered vigorously after every single session, unless someone shits or pees in the tank. And if you do that, there is a fee. You have to pay to replace the salt that would have been lost in draining the tank and replacing the water. You might ask, why would someone shit in the tank? It hasn't happened here yet. But I could see someone getting so relaxed that they just let it out. Now, you have to be pretty unaware of your body's sensations not to just get out and go to the bathroom. So it hasn't happened yet. So the lights get turned off, the sound gets turned off, and the water in the tank is temperature neutral, meaning it's the body temperature. At some point in my flow, I forget the water even exists because it starts to just feel like my body. Imagine being in a bathtub where your fingers never go wrinkly and you never get cold. So you really don't ever have to get out unless you gotta pee or get a drink. I highly recommend hydrating after a float because the salt will pull things out of you. It is pretty detoxing and you want to stay hydrated. Magnesium is really great for relaxing the muscles, and so your body can relax, your mind can relax, and it's pretty incredible the states you can go into when you have the right environment to just completely let go. So in my very first float session, I floated for 60 minutes. Here, I, on average, will float 90 minutes, which is an hour and a half. If I feel like I need to go longer, I will do back-to-back experiences and float for 180 minutes, which is about 3 hours. When I do that, I will get out halfway and usually shower off, drink some water, and go to the bathroom and then get back in. That way I'm not torturing myself thinking, oh man, my bladder's so full, I can't really relax. You want to be relaxed, so listen to your body and give it what it needs. But at the same time, a 3-hour session is incredible. The lights overhead are sensor lights, so you don't have to worry about turning them off. The tank lights are manual, so you can turn them on and off once you're in the tank. And I love the part where all the lights just turn off slowly and you fade into the darkness. And it feels like I'm just being blanketed in love, and the water is holding me and saying and whispering, let go, let go. There is usually music to indicate the beginning and the end of the session. Here you can use underwater headphones, which I highly recommend. They have different tracks for you to play, sound bowls, meditations, breath work. It's very powerful to pair breath work in the float tank. It tunes you into your body and just amplifies what you're feeling. So, oh fuck. Okay, so I want to take you guys into the fire and ice room now. So the benefits of hot and cold therapy are numerous. The 3 main things for me are my mindset, the cold exposure, and the breath. So with my mindset, I am able to push myself to do something pretty mentally and physically challenging, getting into 40-degree water, sitting in there and regulating myself. The first 10 seconds, your body wants to stress out a little. It sends you into your fight or flight response. And I find that because I've had to reprogram how I react and just sit and breathe, when I come to something challenging in life, I'm able to kind of sit back and breathe and just observe my response. And it's been such an amazing tool for things that are challenging that I don't want to do necessarily. It's given me more discipline, it's given me more mental fortitude, it's given me better immunity and health and more circulation, One of the big things that I saw change was I used to have circulation problems. My fingers would turn purple in the winter and they'd go numb. I couldn't feel them. It seems counterintuitive that, you know, if your fingers are cold, that you shouldn't get in the cold. But getting in the cold actually pushed my body to warm itself up. And with proper preparation, like getting my mindset in the right space and being really tuned into my breath and knowing how to warm myself up, once I get in the cold and out of the cold, has really been a huge benefit to my life. And I don't have the same circulation problems in my fingers and toes today. I'm able to handle and regulate in the extreme temperatures better. Reason number 2 is it really helped me to sink into my breath and to use the breath as a bridge into each moment, through each moment of awareness of maybe the pain I might be feeling in my body or the pain of a memory that might be coming up, and to recode and reprogram my response to it. The breath is just a powerful tool. Whether you're floating, you're fire and icing, you're meditating, you're doing pretty much anything, because we couldn't go 2 minutes without our breath, right? So the breath will get you through it all. Plus, there is a whole host of benefits to breath work that I won't get into right now. I know Wim Hof is really popular. They teach a Wim Hof workshop here at True North. When you pair the breath work before getting into the cold plunge, it actually really helps you to not only lengthen your time in there, but to deepen your experience and allow the body to go into parasympathetic, which is a more relaxed state while under stress. And the third reason is the cold. So the cold itself does a lot, which we kind of talked about with like circulation. But when I do a regular cold practice, I find that I'm not getting sick as often, or at all. I have a better recovery with my workouts. I'm not as sore. I'm feeling just a host of benefits like mental clarity, more energy. It goes on and on. So there's a whole host of benefits to getting in the heat or the sauna as well. I'm not going to get into all the science and the amazingness of it, but I will link down below True North's website, which talks about a lot of that. And you could even just Google benefits of getting into the sauna, because it's a pretty long list. So doing them together is actually really amazing, that combination. And to do a fire and ice is what the session is called here. And doing a fire and ice session paired with a float is incredible. The fire and ice session really zones in the mind, brings it into the body, clears out all maybe the clutter of the day. And then your float session is you're really open to just explore what's going on in there and get into relax mode a little bit easier. Plus you're feeling it in your body. Your body's just feeling buzzed and good from the fire and ice session. Okay guys, I am so stoked to get in and have my own session. Enough talking, time to get into my bathing suit. Bam! Side note, it's actually really wonderful to give yourself a little dry brushing lymphatic massage before getting into the cold plunge. It's just really great for exfoliating the skin and moving all of the lymph system through the body. Just a side tip. Oh yeah. Make sure to look up how to do a dry brush massage properly. You'll usually want to brush up towards the heart so that the blood is going into the heart to be circulated. And be careful with all the sensitive parts on your body and with any sensitive veins and areas like that. So forth. You always want to be careful with yourself, you precious. Time to get in. I think I might like the heat more than the cold, but then again, I don't know. There's nothing like the rush of the cold, but the heat, it just puts you into this hypnotic, warm, relaxed state too. They're both pretty awesome, honestly. Okay, so it's time for my much awaited float. I feel so great after fire and ice. I can't wait to see what this flow is going to teach me today and what I'm going to learn about myself, and to just relax and be and let go of the day